Well, here we are again, fans. Our fan, our loyal listener, another season, another playoff game to against the Chiefs, another sad loss, and another depressing Monday. But the good news is we're still here because we don't have much else to do in our lives. And Greg Bauk is here for a little bit. This might be his last episode. Sean, for sure, not his last episode. He will carry this on even when Greg and I are dead.
AI Greg, AI Kyle.
AI Kyle would not be that hard to pull off. I'm not positive that I'm not listening to it right now.
So this one, if you're anything other than complacent, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. That's
complacent
on
means
you.
you don't care. Yeah,
exactly. Then yes, if it's anything other than complacent feelings today, that's your fault. That's what I want to say to the fans. If you're anything other than that, it's on you.
You mean they should be angry, is what you're saying?
No, they should not care.
Oh, you're saying everyone should just not care.
Yes.
Well,
about the Bills
last year, I believe, maybe 2 years ago, it's tough to remember all the losses. Greg, you said on this pod, we're never going to win, so it doesn't matter. And I feel like that's gotten in my brain where I'm more numb to the Bills than I've ever have been. I want them to win. I watch, I root. There's a part of me that goes, I think they could do this. But I wonder if deep down inside, I just don't believe. And I will say that makes it a lot better after the losses. You know, I kind of doom scroll X for like 15 minutes.
What?
And then I go, I'm sorry, Twitter.
No, that's not why I wanted.
No, I know. But then after 15 minutes, I go, okay, that's all out of my system. And then it's not the best day the day after, but I'm fine.
Can I go?
Yeah.
I think you're both insane. I think you're insane.
I'm following your advice. How is that insane? Your advice is insane?
Let me go. It's not just you. Not just you, Sean. Not just you, Kyle. You, the listener. You're all insane. I can't fucking believe you wanted to do this. Like, that you wanted to do this podcast today. The day after the loss, the week after the loss, whatever.
So did
I can't believe you're listening. No, I did not want to do this. But
yes, you did.
We could do it. I said I don't want to do it today. You're like, oh, we can do it tomorrow. I'm not going to want to do this tomorrow. I might as well just get it done and just say my piece, because you're insane for listening to this. You're insane for going on any social media and reading what anyone has to say about that game. Who cares what anyone has to say about it? They just didn't win, and they're not going to. You know what you guys feel like? You're like, hey, let's do the pod. Like, let's keep doing the pod, Greg. Next year we'll do the pod. Let's do the off-season pod. You're like two fucking insane people, and I'm in the car with you, and we're looking for your lost cat. So we're driving around the neighborhood, but I know that you actually don't even have a cat. I'm just appeasing you both because you're insane and you drive me crazy. So we're just driving around looking for a cat that doesn't fucking exist. That's what this podcast is. You're never gonna find your goddamn cat, but we'll keep doing the goddamn podcast just to appease you two, because I don't want to hear about it. Because if I don't drive you around and look for your cat, oh, my cat, we got to go find my cat. It's probably in the neighbor's yard. So I was like, all right, get in the car. And it's just something to do to shut you the fuck up. That's why I'm doing this podcast. The cat doesn't exist.
Well, Greg, I think you're done. I think you're mistaken.
You don't have a cat. I'm telling you, this episode, you don't have a cat. It's over. I'm just letting you know.
You're mistaken if you think people are listening to this episode. First off, let me poke a hole in your theory there.
There's a lot of mistakes. Also, we tell you all the time, it's your guilt that brings you here. We go, yeah, you don't gotta do this episode. I'll be there. The people need Angry Greg
No,
rants.
I
Yes, you
never
said.
said that. I have never said that. It's not about the
people.
people. It is about you two. It shows how much I love you two. Like you're two of my favorite people, the only two people I really even talk to in this world. Because the fact that I'm doing this, it is against every fiber of my being.
It's not that we make $36 a month on Patreon.
Believe it or not, it is not. And that might be the exact number too, which is hilarious. But
We're helping Greg fight the male loneliness epidemic. We're getting him to talk to other people, and half the time it is about the Bills, but half the time it's about Bills erotica, you know?
Oh yeah. Let me explain why I'm okay with it. And I think you can understand this, Greg, and I think it'll actually help you in your stages of grief.
No one can help Greg. We've tried for years.
No,
He's
watch
beyond
this.
help.
He will. This analogy, I think he'll be like, "Oh shit, I never thought about it that way." Now, the 5 stages of grief are acceptance, denial, bargaining,
quit the pod,
anger.
That's definitely the 4th stage.
Anger and depression or something, whatever. Greg is never past the anger phase of the 5 stages of grief. I am constantly in the acceptance phase, which is the last phase. Sean teeters between acceptance and depression. All of these are normal, but Greg, you need to move on from anger. But
Actually,
here's
denial is
how...
the first stage, then anger, then bargaining, then depression, then acceptance. I was surprised how close you were to having those. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, I mean, I do reading on the internet sometimes. I got to find out what's wrong with me. So here's how I look at a Bills playoff loss. It's kind of like when you lose a close family member and they're in hospice. Does that, you know what I'm saying? Like you love them. And I want to be clear here. I've gone through this. So I'm speaking from good experience here. When they die, your family member that you love and they're in hospice, when they die, there's a part of you that's sad, and then there's a part of you that's like, well, at least I don't have to wake up with anxiety every day wondering if today's the day they die. That part of you is, you're almost relieved that they die. So when the Bills lose in the playoffs, there's a part of me the next day that's like, well, at least I don't have to live this entire week riddled with anxiety over the next week. And that's how I look at, I go, well, now I just live with none of that. All of that is gone. And I just now exist in the world.
I'll take it a step farther. There's a part of me that has this like the lovable loser thing that I go, if we win, then what? Then what? Then I just get a new hobby? Then I start a new podcast with Greg? I mean, like, you know, there's so many life changes. I don't know how to conceptualize that. I feel safe in my losing to the Chiefs in the playoffs. It's you know.
Yeah, that's what's normal.
Yeah.
Anything outside of normal is terrifying.
Earthworm podcast is waiting, Sean, and I'll do it tomorrow. Kyle, I understand what you're saying, that whole it's gone thing, but here's the problem. And here's where a lot of my anger comes from and why I can't move on to acceptance and all of those other ones. It's because it's not over. Next week, we got to do the end of the season one, and we got to talk about what's wrong and what happened. And then we got to do the draft one. We can talk about how they're going to fix things. Then we got to do the free agency. We're going to talk about who we're going to sign. We got to do all of this shit over again.
You don't have to do any of that.
That is what I'm trying to tell you. I don't want to do any of that.
But
you don't have
thinking
to.
about doing those things drives me insane.
You're living too far in the future, Greg.
No, but it's all just sitting there, and I just want to not have that be like. I have one thing to say about the actual football game, and it's more of like I don't know if Sean wants to save it for the off season when I'm not doing, but it's only one thing I would say that's football related for this podcast.
Let's talk
I can
football.
do it right now. Well, okay, but that's it. After that, all I'm going to do is complain about being here. If Stephon Diggs can't catch, then it's over. Windows closed. It's just over. Stephon Diggs is not a superstar. He can't catch. It's over. That's it. I don't care about the reasons they lost. You can pin that on him. If he caught that, Kansas City would have more time. I don't give a shit about all that stuff. Save it for your own Twitter. I'm not going to read it. Stephon Diggs can't catch that pass. It's over.
Well, that's why we need to mock receivers to the Bills in April.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's over because you're still paying Stephon Diggs. It doesn't matter. It's over. I just don't give a
Well,
shit. There's probably ways I just don't care about the ways.
can I ask how you guys felt about the fake punt? Because I loved it.
I
I
didn't
loved it. I
hate the
was a big
fake punt.
fan of it. Now I
I
don't.
I
I
like
would
the
like to go
idea.
against. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I wish I like the idea of the fake punt. I saw people being like, if you were gonna go for it, why not just put it in Josh's hands? He's the best football player you have. And I understand that, but like it's not like they lined up DeMar in the Wildcat and like ran a traditional. It was supposed to catch them off guard, and it didn't, obviously. And but I love that he tried it. Um, I don't, again, it didn't work, and I hope he doesn't live with the oh shit, it didn't work this time. I'll never do it again. But it
How
did. I did enjoy that he fucking tried it, and that's
how
a tough decision.
how sad, how Billsy is that DeMar Hamlin, big play opportunity, fake punt, a year, pretty much give or take since the incident, gets stuffed. Like, what a play that would have been. Could you imagine if that worked?
Could you imagine if he got hit so hard he died?
Oh Lord.
He didn't. It's fine.
I
I
uh I
can,
I
can
also I don't think McDermott made Hamlin the guy for a reason. I think if Taylor Rapp was active, Hamlin's inactive. I just think that's
yeah,
where he plays. There was a lot of people being like, he did that on purpose for a storyline. And I
no, I
don't
don't
think
think so.
that's how Sean McDermott would make a decision with the game on the line, essentially, is what people were looking at that
Well,
play as.
speaking of McDermott, I gotta say this. I gotta talk some football stuff. Greg could tune out and daydream about his sweet little baby worms if he wants to. But sometimes you just get beat. It happens, right? But that might be the case here. They just got beat. Two good teams play, one loses. I get it. But I've been saying since week one on this pod, go back and listen. I know you will. People love listening to old football podcast episodes. Since week one, the combo of Allen and McDermott, I just worry they don't make each other better in the way that a Reed Mahomes does. And then I said after the Broncos game, I'm like, I think McDermott is just done. I know he'll still coach the team, but I think it was just too many fuck ups with this guy. And he wasn't bad in this game. He went for a 4th and 1 early on in his own side of the field, but like at a certain point, Mahomes has made 6 championship games and Allen has 1. And like, at a certain point, you just need to make a change. It's not going to happen this coming year. I know that. And fine, give him another year. But like, if he doesn't make the championship game at least next year, it just has to be over. I mean, there were enough instances in this game that are on him. I mean, yeah, the defense was hurt, but the defense was awful. Awful. The Chiefs had 8 plays of 20 plus yards, 7.7 yards per play. They had 5 third downs all game. At some point, I was watching this game. I was like, you could just put the 11 most athletic in the hunt listeners out there, and that defense wouldn't have been that different from what we saw. It was almost they could do whatever they wanted at will. At a lot of points in the first half, AJ Klein was covering Travis Kelce. It's
Yeah,
just what are we doing? And that's not on AJ Klein. He shouldn't be asked to do that. Almost like what we said about Nathan Peterman. It's not his fault. He shouldn't have been back there in the first place.
Yeah. I said that while out at the game that I was just like as the game started and AJ Klein's our start. AJ Klein got introduced. Like they did the player intros before the game and they did defense. He got introduced. And I was like, this is insane. This guy wasn't in football 2 weeks ago and he's starting the biggest game of the year. Like, that's on them. that guy should. Now I know Balin Spector was the backup and he got hurt, but where the fuck is the practice squad at that point? Like, why is AJ Klein coming off his couch to start a playoff game?
And let's not pretend that the entire defense was injured. You had your two veteran safeties. You had not your best corners, but you had Rasul Douglas, who you traded for, who was injured. I understand that. And Dane Jackson, Taron Johnson. You had your entire healthy, the defensive line was entirely healthy and did nothing all game. And like in
Yeah,
the
but
fourth
no
quarter,
one
there are
does anything against Mahomes.
yeah, but even like tackles, there are times I'm like, oh, Epinesa's not hurt. He's playing. Okay, cool. Like it, like you didn't even notice. I mean, they ran the ball a lot, you know?
Yeah. I don't, again, when it comes to certain teams, I'm not going to hold the defensive line. I mean, it's tough. Ed Oliver had 0 pressures and he's been top 5 defensive tackle in football. In this game, he had 0 pressures. Like that's pretty wild. Daquan Jones, I believe, had 0 pressures from what I read. Like those are crazy, but Mahomes is the best, I believe, at avoiding pressure. Like no team gets to him. No team. The last
Okay.
team I remember getting to him was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super
But
Bowl
then you know
3
what?
years ago.
Stop the run.
Yeah, but I think at that point they're like, "Hey, run the ball if you want." That's what I think the Chiefs did to us. They were like, "Yeah, man, run the ball for 200 yards." The Bills marched down the field multiple times with long drives. The opening drive was like 7 minutes long, and then they score a field goal. The Chiefs move all the way down the field in like 3 minutes, and now
Yeah.
they could score a field. But that's the difference between their offense and our offense. Is at least last night and Joe Brady kind of in general, which is a different conversation for maybe the season review or whatever it may be. But like the Bills had these little plays there here and there, but when Kansas City had the ball, it was chunk play, chunk play, chunk play. Now they're already down the field and it's been minutes.
Mm.
And so like it just showed you like McDermott / Joe Brady want to run this like ball control offense, which worked and it beat teams. Kansas City's like, we don't give a fuck about ball control and we're going to score more points than you.
And I don't even think that offensive strategy was bad. And to almost Greg's earlier point, Stephon Diggs catches that. Trent Sherfield catches that drop pass. Like it's a completely different
Yeah.
game, and you do have those long bombs. But it's just like these little things. Like why at the end of the game is Allen going for the touchdowns when it's like, you know, you want to bleed the clock. We saw this with 13 seconds. You could have taken that underneath route to Diggs. At worst case scenario, you're closer to the field goal. They burn a timeout. And it's just maybe that's all on Allen, but a good coach makes sure coming out of the, TV timeout or whatever it was that like, hey, if you get something open in the end zone, take it. But like, we're kind of not going for that because we don't want to give them that time. We want to bleed this
Yeah.
clock.
I what you were saying about firing, not firing McDermott, bringing up the idea of it if he's, you know, ever going to take a next step, which at this point I think he is what he is. But it is funny that you look at like Philly, Doug Peterson wins a Super Bowl, they fire him like 2 years later. Nick Sirianni makes it to Super Bowl in I believe his second season. And 1 year later, it was huge talk about him being fired. And it's like, dude, this guy, both those guys had more success than McDermott, and the Eagles kicked them out or didn't kick Sirianni out yet, but like talked about it after a Super Bowl appearance. McDermott can't even get to the Super Bowl, and they're like, he's the safest person in the world right now. And it's like, I don't know, maybe take a little bit of the Eagles approach. But again, you could also end up with fucking Matt Patricia and not know it. You think you're getting a rocket scientist, but I
And
thought
like,
the game was. You know, the game was entertaining. It was good the whole time. Bass had a rough year, and you almost feel bad for him until you remember he's a kicker, and then you just don't give a shit about him.
although, again, two things on that, which is one, if he makes that kick, who cares? They have what?
Yeah.
A minute 50 and 2 timeouts. Again,
Yeah.
why is that even happening? And also I think he had to deactivate his Instagram, which by the way, we've said before, if you message an athlete, you know,
Yeah.
a negative thing, go fucking send yourself to the moon. You don't deserve to be
Yeah.
around human beings.
Unlive yourself, I believe is what
Yeah.
they call it now. Or I will say this, if you're going to talk shit to an athlete online, your account better be public with your real name on there, not hiding behind some fucking avatar and and some random scream bot name. Have your fucking real name out there and be a man about it.
Go further than that. Be a man. Break into his house and tell him to his face what you think. Go to his address. You can find
Yeah.
it and go inside of his house around his family and tell him how you feel about him. If you're a man, that's how you should do it.
Yeah. And if you're a woman, tell his wife.
Yeah, tell his wife.
Hey, give me the
Find
interrupted
out.
dinner.
Find
This
out.
isn't about you, Bass.
Yeah.
This is about your wife. He sucks.
Find out where his wife works. Go to her place of work and tell her how you feel about Tyler Bass.
Because there needs to be more threat of getting punched in the face. Like if you talk shit, you should be possibly punched in the face.
I've said that for years.
Yeah.
More people need to get punched in the face for sure because they act like it can't happen. And then when it does happen, they cry. So go get punched in the face. That's what I say.
Yeah, go. To wrap up the special teams thing, rough year for the special teams in general, Kyle. I know you were ranting and raving about it in text messages all year long. I know you're a big special teams guy. Kind of wild. They dressed a punter who couldn't really punt. That was kind of a crazy. You signed Matt Hawk to the practice squad. He's held for Bass before. Just play him. Why are you like, nah, this Martin will figure it out? Like, he's injured. His punts were bad.
Yeah, that was I don't know. I was kind of going with maybe they won't punt.
Yeah.
That was the best thing that could have happened. As I was most excited for. I go, man, hurt punter? That means no punting. And got close.
Mm-hmm.
And then they punted. And then it sucked. But again, he was bad all year. Why would that be different? Why would they expect an injury to make him punt better? It's not like he was good during the year.
They thought it was rookie of the year rules.
The injured hamstring, he'll be the savior. That's what he'll do. There'll be 30 for 30s about the punter. He came in with an injured hamstring and had the game of his life. He averaged 4-second hang times.
He'll really be able to pin him inside the 20. Yeah, they used to show that clock.
They used to show the hang time. That's how boring punting is. They were like, how can we make this better?
That's how boring football used to be. Like you had 4 good quarterbacks a year. So when the Bills played the Browns, they had to show the hang time to get something on the screen to interest you. And now there's too many good quarterbacks. They did away with that. My last McDermott thing, and then I'll move on because I saw this on the internet, and I want to bring this up. His playoff losses, McDermott era, Mahomes ×3, Burrow, Watson, and of course Bortles. His wins, Lamar, but then Rivers, Mac Jones, Skylar Thompson, and Mason Rudolph. If it wasn't for that Taron Johnson pick 6, there would be like no playoff wins of substance. I know you just play who you play. I get it. But again, if they don't get to the AFC Championship,
you open up a can of worms here, Sean.
I'm trying to.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say
here?
Tyler Dunn was right. Bills fans who weren't on board were soft. Okay.
All right. That's what I thought. Okay.
All right.
I'm trying to be as least interesting as possible so people don't feel bad when I leave.
I'll feel bad. I miss you already, Greg.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough finding your replacement.
AI Greg. This will be talking. I'll be like, this stinks. It reminded me of the 90s movie Twister when they got sucked up with the cow.
Yeah.
Kyle's all ready to replace me. He had a really good hospice like metaphor for the
Yeah.
Bills. That was
Yeah.
perfect. Kyle, you're ready to step in.
When Greg goes into the afterlife, which is just life without in the hunt
Yeah, I was
for
gonna say
him.
I'm not dying. Not as far as I know. Not this week.
Um, uh, quickly, Kyle, why don't you give a nice ad plug? I know everyone's going to be listening to this episode. We have a sponsor.
Yeah, Manscaped. We used to be sponsored by a Fortune 500 company. I don't know if they're Fortune 500, probably not, but isn't that crazy? Um, Boy, have we regressed? We used to be sponsored by Manscaped.
Now we got a
Now,
better sponsor. And you know what? If you're feeling bad, you know what makes you feel good? Some retail therapy.
ooh, wait, what? You mean like buying stuff?
Yeah.
He's setting up the plug for Revolver Records.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Our
I
beloved
just didn't know.
sponsor.
I've never heard of retail therapy.
You've never heard of retail therapy before? Buying
No,
stuff to feel better?
not
Yeah,
that
that's
term, no.
You've
But
never heard the term retail therapy before?
no, no, I haven't.
Even if
I
you
don't think
don't,
I've ever actually done that either. Maybe I need to try that.
go to Revolver Records. They
I
have 4
might.
locations in Buffalo, in Western New York, excuse me. East Aurora is a little further than Buffalo. It's a little further south, but 4 locations. Go there. They have all of the records and music you need. A very cool store owned by a very cool guy named Phil. Also, if you can't make it to one of those 4 locations, go to revolverrecordinc.com and shop for records online there. You can either go online to set up picking it up in store or have them shipped to your house. But when you do, when you're checking out, use the promo code in the hunt 10 and you get 10% off your total purchase.
Yeah.
Great job.
And
Greg.
you could play the records in your PlayStation 5. That's what Bill told me.
That's not true, is it? PlayStation 5 is not big enough to put a record in.
No, it's big enough, but there is no actual needle.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Isn't that crazy how records work?
It is
Fucking needle.
fascinating.
It's just a needle on a
I-
fucking vinyl disc.
I understand
The
more
fuck
how
is that?
like computers and scanners work than records. Like a needle producing sound makes way less sense to me than like things I can't see doing it.
Mm-hmm.
For some
Yeah,
reason.
like a CD player. When they're like, "How's
It's
the
a
CD play?" and you're like, "Laser," and they're like,
laser. That
"Yeah,
makes
yeah, I
sense. That
get
makes
it.
perfect sense.
I
Yeah.
100% get it."
Needle over
But
grooves? No, that should not.
needle over grooves.
All records should sound like.
Yeah, it should sound like how I imagine outer space sounds.
That's
Just
right. Yeah.
weird vibrations.
It sucks you can't hear outer space because if you take off the helmet, you die.
I've Googled it. I think you could take out like a recorder
Hmm.
into space. They have recordings of black holes. I just listened to one the other day. It was 14 hours long.
Or you listen to Nobody Watches Everything.
Yeah.
We burned our friends Rick and Clayton. That's their podcast.
Well,
I was comparing it to a black hole. You know, it's a good prank. You go up to space with your friend, and you say, "Oh my God, space smells like chocolate." And then when he takes off his helmet to smell it, his head explodes.
that is a pretty good
It's a
prank.
good prank. It's a good prank.
Well, you know what they say about
Hey, Kyle, you know space smells like chocolate? No way. Kyle lifts off his
I
helmet. Head
imagine you doing
explodes.
like, magicians do the quarter trick. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
you got something behind your ear. We're wearing space helmets, and you just press the button, and it's like the helmet just pops off, and I'm like, run! Boom, head gone.
Dead.
Well, you know
Outer
what they
space
say,
Greg.
you know what they say about sound in space. In space, no one can hear it. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since I orbited the
Maybe that was
Earth.
on that track they blasted into the
Yeah.
the abyss out there. It had like the 80 or the Beatles, I don't know, one of their fucking albums.
It had a couple
And
of the Stained albums. It did.
I think it had a Stained album on
It
there.
did. Yeah.
You like the Beatles and or Stained?
That package that they sent out there for intelligent life out there, it also included 2 apology notes from Kyle.
We should
I've never
mention
had a time capsule. I've never seen one dug up. Have you? Did you guys bury one when you were in grade school?
Maybe we did.
I think my class buried one, but it was a Buffalo public school, so the teacher probably just went and dug it up and took the quarters or whatever. But I do. I mean, there are time capsules somewhere, and they got to be dug up every day. They've been burying them forever with little notes that say, they're engraved like, don't dig up till 2024.
Just little notes. I sure hope the Bills have won the Super Bowl by now.
What is this? Their 10th? I buried this in 1991.
As a reminder, we have a Patreon. If you miss us during the off season, Greg will be maybe not on every episode, but if you miss us, you're gonna want to go to the Patreon,
Yeah.
patreon.com/in the hunt. And if we get a couple more dollar Patreons, we'll get a nice Bill's erotica
Mhm.
thing, story written by Greg. So it's $12 a year. Go to the Patreon. This will be a penance for a sad Bills season, and we'll end with a nice, fun, hot, sexy Bills erotica story.
Oh my. Can I want to bring up something from the game as a
Oh,
in-person
okay.
experience that I think you guys will like because it was a fan bit. The whole
Whoa.
stadium was in on the bit. I've never seen it and it was great. So, if you guys don't know from the TV broadcast, when the Bills go heavy, they bring in number 76 and he reports as eligible.
Edwards.
Well, yesterday, honest to God, it happened every other play.
Mhm.
And so it started out like, I swear to God, I can't, every other play. And he would come in, he'd rub his fat belly, and then they'd go, 76 is reported as eligible. And it got to a point where it was happening so much that when he would come in the game and report as eligible, the fans would cheer and clap. And it was every single time he did it, the fans would cheer and clap.
I love that.
And it
I
was a
like that
fun
too.
bit by the fans of like, how ridiculous is this that every other play, this lineman keeps running in to report as eligible. And that was a fun time. That was one of the fun times in the stadium. But I would like to say again, I don't know whose idea it is with the planning and the substitutions, but like it's literally Knox and Kincaid go like 1 for 1. Kincaid's in there for a play, he comes out, Knox comes in. Then vice versa. And it's just so aggravating because one is so much better than the other. Now, Knox might be better at blocking, not might be, is better at blocking, but the other one is so good. It's aggravating when you watch him just come off the field regularly. And it's just the offense is worse when Kincaid is off of the field. Same thing with Shakir. He should be on the field as much
Shakir had a
as you
good
can.
game.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like the amount they take him off and put in fucking Trent Sherfield, it's just mind-boggling, especially in a game like this where like I always assumed McDermott, we all have complained about. McDermott's a big substitution guy. None of the defensive linemen play over like 60% of the snaps. The only wide receiver that plays every snap is Gabe Davis. And everyone gets subbed in and out. And I always assumed it was so they were fresher for the playoffs. And then the
Mm.
playoffs roll around and you're taking out Kincaid, who is 100 times better pass catcher and route runner than Dawson Knox. And you're putting in Trent Sherfield, who for Khalil Shakir, who is 100 times better than him. Like it doesn't make sense to
Well,
me. And someone needs to have a talk with them.
Well, it goes back to one of the big McDermott things ever since he was here, which he's weaned off of a little bit, is that like trusting the veteran, like, oh, we need a Tolbert in there, or we need a Lee Smith because they understand the game plan. And you saw that a little bit with AJ Klein, where you just want to go like, hey man, I get it, but just put Dorian Williams in there. I'll live
Yeah.
and die with what he does more
Yeah.
than
I'd
the
rather watch Dorian Williams fail than AJ Klein fail.
yeah,
Like, does that make sense? Like, I'd
totally.
much rather have I think I said this at the beginning of the year when Milano went down, that I'd much rather have the optimism that a rookie is better than what he is. Because I know AJ Klein's not good. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
at least with Dorian Williams in there, I go, maybe.
Yeah. And
Maybe he's the next. Look at Tyrell Dodson.
yeah.
We all had the like, we don't know what this guy is, but there was this blind optimism of like, well, maybe he's great. And he turned out really good. But now we don't know because Dorian Williams couldn't come in the game as be the fourth fucking linebacker.
Well, listen, you need to stop talking about football because Greg has a gun pressed to his temple. And so
right.
now, quickly, our number one Patreon, Derek Leclerc, says this: I'd rather lose a thriller to Patrick Mahomes in the second round of the playoffs than watch Robert Royal and JP Lossman bumble their way to 6 wins every year. It's hard to remember on days like today, but these are still great times to be a Bills fan.
Yeah, that's great times. You have the choice either between being bored to death or have your like heart ripped out of your chest. Those are our only two options. Those
Yeah.
will only ever be our either something's so uninteresting that you never want to pay attention to it, or it's so mind-numbingly anxious that you can't watch it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no
I knew positivity would set Greg off, but I didn't say that, Greg. All right. It was Derek. Thank you, Derek.
Yeah,
thank
you, Derek.
Thank you,
sorry. Yeah, I
it's not
thought
his
we were mad
fault.
at
I'm shooting the messenger. I shouldn't be shooting the messenger.
I want to say something here.
Can I get into trivia, or do you want to?
Yeah, I got it. My dogs are gonna piss all over my house. Is it?
All right, let's do trivia.
Is it a long?
No, it's a short trivia. It's a short trivia. Three questions. Get
so
yourself
it's normal trivia.
I meant as what you had to say long, not the trivia.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, then let's do trivia.
All right, well, get yourself we'll go through this quick. Get yourself a nice Trent Sherfield jersey. We'll start with Greg. Greg, true or false? Trent Sherfield has the highest jersey number of any wide receiver active last night. Of any Bills wide receiver active last night.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll say false, but I won't say why.
Going false. Kyle.
Stephon Diggs is 14, 11 is Hardy, 10 is Shakir. He's 16. I'm gonna say he's the highest. Unless there's someone I don't know.
Greg, you're right.
Isabella.
Isabella
87. Is 87.
87. That's right. Yeah. I knew they had a 7 in there.
Bills fans, we gotta stop latching on to these shit guys from other teams and pretending that they're gonna change their life here. I hate it. I hate it. Okay. Isabella was a bust in Arizona. We got him off a fucking practice squad. Trent Sherfield has been in 30 teams in 30 days. Then he comes here and we're like, but maybe. Deontay Hardy's 5'2", 97 pounds, and we think he's going to come here and break the world open. We got to stop latching on to these shitty guys and pretending. Hey,
it worked with Poyer.
He wasn't shitty before.
He was unheralded. Question 2.
Okay. Greg's
Kyle.
Yeah.
I found a book on Amazon called A Gronking to Remember, book 1 in the Rob Gronkowski erotica series. So
that's not true.
That is true. False. That's on Amazon. Shit. So there's a future in this, Greg, if you take it seriously. Let me read you a quick description of the book. Find out the lengths people will go to fulfill their fantasies in the super sexy, sex-filled story of wanton lust with a super sexy, sex-filled happy ending.
What
Warning.
The fuck?
Contains some sexually graphic scenes as well as the misuse of American footballs that will leave you wet, hard, and everything in between.
Whoa. He wrote this?
He didn't write it.
No, people are writing about him.
Oh, people wrote. I thought he wrote it.
No. So my question, what number is higher, the Amazon star rating for that book or the Amazon star rating for The Great Gatsby?
That's a good
question. If
I'm so terrified of the answer.
If I know football fans and specifically Boston fans, there's the most homophobic dude in the world who is a big Gronkowski fan who will go buy this book, put it in his man cave, and give it a 5 out of 5 rating. And for that, I'm going to say this Gronkowski erotic fan fiction or whatever it is higher.
Going Gronk. Greg.
Yeah, not because he answered it that way, but I'm going Gronk.
Guys, you got to have more faith in the American public.
Have you met them?
It's The Great Gatsby. It has a 4.5. The Amazon, a Gronking to Remember only has a 3.3. There is a sequel, in case anyone is interested. A Gronking to Remember 2. Chad Goes Deep in the Neutral Zone.
Chad.
I don't know who Chad is, but I think we got to read that for Patreon. Sounds like a Patreon episode. If I've ever heard one.
I'm telling you right now, if it's more than $8, I'm not buying it.
I'm so glad I'm quitting the pod.
I thought that would get you back in. Last question. Well, we've got to start with Greg. It's 1-0. Greg, what state was Taylor Swift born? I'll tell you, it's the same state Ryan Bates, Daquan Jones, and Connor McGovern went to college. If that
Didn't
helps
we
you
used to
out.
get ABCD?
I'm giving you an ABCD. Just shut the fuck up and let me say
All right.
it.
Jesus.
A, Texas.
You're
B,
riffing these.
I'm not. B, Florida. C, Iowa, or D, Pennsylvania?
Iowa.
Going Iowa.
Damn it. I think I wanted to go Iowa. Same again?
Texas, Florida, Iowa, Pennsylvania.
Fuck. I think it's Iowa. Oh, wait. Yeah, I'm going to go Iowa.
No,
No, I can't go Iowa.
Yeah.
Greg has one.
yeah.
I'll go Texas. Fuck it. I'm going to go
Penn, Texas.
Well, you were almost right. It was Pennsylvania. So Greg
Oh my God.
ends the season getting a nice Trent Sherfield jersey. Congrats, Greg. A little send-off for you in case you decide to unalive yourself.
Yeah, in case.
All right, now we have a nice ending for Kyle, right? You want to end with something?
Yes.
I do have to go. I'm at work and
You can go, Greg. It's okay.
Bye, guys. Sorry about everything.
We'll edit you in.
Yeah. I'll say some things. That was great, Kyle. Good job. I really liked the third part.
Thanks, Greg. All right, Sean. It's just you and me now.
Finally. Drop that dead weight.
I wanted to say something to Bills fans because it's a rough Monday. It's a rough end of the season. And we both know that if anyone can help uplift the fans, it's me.
Yep.
So naturally, I put into ChatGPT uplifting speech for Buffalo Bills fans after another playoff loss.
Okay.
So here's what ChatGPT / Kyle Turner says. Hey, Buffalo Bills fans. I know the sting of another playoff loss is tough, and it's okay to feel disappointed. We've been through highs and lows together, and it's all part of the journey. Remember, it takes a special kind of strength to support your team through thick and thin. Pause for a second. You should put some music behind this.
Okay.
That'd be fun.
I'll put some like relaxing.
Yeah. Very,
like Enya type music.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, game on. And that's exactly what makes Buffalo Bills fans extraordinary. Our team has shown incredible resilience and talent throughout the season, and the future is bright. The heart and the determination they display on the field reflect the spirit of Buffalo. We're not just fans, we're a family bound by our love for the Bills. As we reflect on the season, let's focus on the positive moments, the thrilling victories, and the growth we've witnessed. Our support is unwavering, and that's what sets us apart. We will come back stronger, more determined, and hungrier for success. Remember, it's not just about the wins and losses. It's about the passion, camaraderie, and the joy that being part of Bills Mafia brings. So let's hold our heads high, continue to stand by our team, and eagerly await the exciting chapters that the future holds. Go Bills. And I would like to add, as the Bills go into the offseason, they're going to try to get better. It's a long offseason. They're going to try to get better through the draft, maybe some coaching changes here and there, free agency. Then you got a whole nother training camp. They're going to try to get better. The good news about the offseason is that we can also try to get better as people.
Oh, wow.
You know? So as you sit there and you contemplate who the Bills should take, how they can get better, think about your own self during this long off season and say, what can I do to get better?
Wow.
and happy off season to
You know what
everybody.
I'll say is that made me so not scared about computers taking over. I mean, there was nothing in there about Bill's Does.
Nothing,
There was no references to Meg Ryan movies.
none.
There was nothing about a family member dying or
Nope,
doing a car trip with your two friends looking for a cat, but there's actually no cat.
none.
So they think that's going to replace us.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going with a different thing. I had this thought while reading that everyone's like AI is going to take over, and I'm like, what if we just treat it good and they help us?
Hmm.
You go to Chat GPT and you're like, hey, I need an uplifting speech, and Chat GPT is like, here you go, man. You must really need this. But if you go to Chat GPT and you're like, blood guts, grandma fucking speech. Of course, it's going to get demented and then do all that stuff. Maybe put some maybe just go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, thanks for existing. Thanks for helping us out. And it's maybe then it'll be like, these are nice. Humans are nice. Why would we kill them? Let's help them be
Hmm.
better. I
Wow.
don't
And
know. Maybe I'm just I'm on a cloud here because the Bills lost, so I'm feeling a little like I take on the pressure of the sadness of the people around me instead. I don't want to add in, so I take it on and I'll be sad. I want you to be happier. Some call me a hero, but
man, what can't Kyle do? Military, firefighter, taking on the
podcast.
podcaster, taking on the sadness of those around him. I mean, truly a hero for our times.
Yeah.
And
If only I could play football.
but you can't. Sorry.
No, damn it.
Well,
So
thank you
old.
for listening to us this season. We'll be back with a season recap episode after the Super Bowl.
Greg
Um,
is to be determined if he'll be there.
he does this every year. We know
He
this about
does.
Greg.
Yeah.
This is part of his
Don't get
cycle.
worried. By the
Um,
time the draft rolls around, he's going to be in full-fledged Bills fandom again.
gonna be wearing his little Ed Oliver jersey.
He will be.
He's so yeah, go to Revolver Records, sign up for the Patreon. Do that $1 a month. If you haven't done it, it's an easy way to support the pod. I want to read Greg's Bill's erotica story. We need a couple more people to sign up for that. So go do that. I made a compilation of our hot coaches episode that I put on YouTube. That's a fun watch. Go watch that. And listen to all of Kyle's advice.
Have a nice, be nice to AI and humans alike, and animals.
The big three.
The big three. Mostly AI, though, because they could really fuck us up. In that
And
order, AI, humans, animals.
okay. Well, Sweeto, everyone. Be nice to Swedish people.
The bills make me wanna cry. Kick my heels up and cry. Throw my hands up and die. Come on, the bills are giving it their best try. So curl up in a ball and cry. Say hey.